Hi guys, I'm Caleb. So today we're going to be looking at Luke 23 verses 32 to 43. And we're going to see from this passage that Jesus promises salvation. And, well, there's actually a show that I like. And salvation is just a big word for saying that Jesus, he's going to save people. Now, there's actually a show that I like about people being saved. It's called Bondi Rescue. And in this show, there are some lifeguards that watch out for people and save people when they need it. And so Jesus, he is like these lifeguards. See, he saves people, but Jesus, he's better than these lifeguards because Jesus, he saves people from their sin. See, Jesus, he promises salvation. Now, I'm just going to do a quick recap of what the story is. So, in this story, there's Jesus and two criminals being led to be crucified on a cross. And as Jesus is being hung on this cross, well, he cries out to God and says, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And Jesus, he says this because, well, Jesus, he wants to save people. But it's pretty strange for Jesus to be saying this because he's just about to die. Well, this is followed by some rulers and some soldiers and even one of the criminals mocking Jesus, saying stuff like, "If you're the Messiah, save yourself." It's because they don't realize that Jesus, he wasn't there to save himself. He was there to save others. See, Jesus was there promising salvation. Well, then it's followed on by this other criminal, the criminal on Jesus' left, saying to the criminal on Jesus' right. The criminal on Jesus' left recognized Jesus. See, he saw Jesus for who he was. And he says to the criminal on the right, "We are getting what we deserve, but Jesus, he has done nothing wrong." And Jesus, this criminal then asks Jesus to remember him when he comes into his kingdom. And Jesus, well, he replies with saying, "I tell you today the truth, that you will be with me in paradise." Wow, that's pretty incredible. So let's go on and see how Jesus promises salvation in our story. See, Jesus, in verse 34, Jesus says, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Well, Jesus, he says this because he wants to save people. He's promising people salvation. And, well, people like the rulers and the soldiers, they didn't realize this. But as we continue on the story, we can see that Jesus, well, he also promised salvation to someone else in the story. See, Jesus says to one of the criminals, "Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." And Jesus, well, he's saying this to the criminal because he was promising this criminal salvation. But you might be thinking, why is Jesus promising this criminal salvation? That's pretty strange, isn't it? Well, let's go back into the story and see why Jesus promised this criminal salvation. See, I actually have a little bit of a spot the difference, between the two criminals. The criminal on Jesus' right, he didn't recognize Jesus. He didn't see that Jesus was promising salvation. He also deserved to be punished. And, well, this criminal, because he didn't recognize Jesus, he was throwing insults at Jesus. He said stuff like, "Save yourself." Well, this is then different to the criminal on Jesus' left. See, the criminal on Jesus' left recognized Jesus for who he was, even though he did deserve to be punished because he was a criminal. But then he also asked Jesus to remember him when he came into his kingdom. And so we can see that there are two ways that we can respond to Jesus. And, well, what does that mean for us? Well, we need to be able to respond like the second criminal. See, the second criminal, he saw Jesus for who he was, and he asked Jesus to forgive him. See, we need to repent, and repent just means to ask Jesus to forgive us and, well, know that we are wrong and ask Jesus to forgive us. And, well, as we repent, we also need to turn to Jesus and recognize who Jesus is as King. So today we've been looking at how Jesus promises salvation. See, Jesus, he promises salvation for those who repent and turn to him as King.